Hi guys, good to have you on. Thank you so much for being here. Just a quick introduction. My name's Zeke. This is the Need to Know Crosstalk show, brand new, and we're literally I'm just gonna be rolling with it. It's the first time that I've been on with this. It's been quite a busy end of the year for me, moving and whatnot, family stuff, should I say. So I'm trying to keep a positive head about things. So this is quite important, and I'm really grateful that I'm here actually with you guys to be talking about something. We'll just be talking in general overall. So the topic today is food, but I'm just going to introduce the two people I've got with me today. John Depass, who is aka the Melon Man. He's a personal coach, online coach, detox specialist, fruitarian, spiritualist. And we've got Jules Jung, who's a raw vegan. He's into his detoxing, fasting, and anything else that you want to add to that, you can do, my friend. But yeah, the topic today is food. And I was just explaining to Jules before we started recording that, you know, there's so many different ideas and approaches of food in general and our relationship with food, and how we should be leading a healthy, vibrant lifestyle with food, and what we should be eating, what we shouldn't be eating. Veganism, vegetarianism, carnivores, this, that. It's, one can get lost in translation quite easily, and it can become quite daunting. And I also think that it can really push people to go down the wrong route. You know, sometimes they can get quite agitated and annoyed, so therefore, you know, they just kind of hit the swear but the fuck it button and just, you know, it's going to be anything. Just roll with it, just see, you know, and not really care. Now we're living in a day and age today where, you know, there's a lot of illnesses. You know, it's quite evident. There's a lot of people that are depressed and anxious, worried, and all these things that are coming from an emotional point of view, and a spiritual point of view. But food has a massive play on us today. So I'm just going to chuck a couple of questions out and just roll with it. But I mean, today, the first question I'm going to say is, what is food? And that sounds like quite a simple question. But I'd like to know your definitions of what is food. Please. So, John, if you want to jump in, that'd be great. Let me know.
All right. Great. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you invited me to this. But thanks for the invite. I'm glad to be involved. I'm glad to partner up with both of you guys. I've seen you guys online, and I appreciate having a chance to talk with you. So thanks for this opportunity. Good question. I like that. I've never really pondered that question. Not most recently. You know, if you had asked me that 2 years ago, before I got into the vegan movement and before I read Dr. Arnold Ehret's book, and before I read Hilton Hotima's book, and you know, in my past as a bodybuilder, and that's my past experience, that I really always thought that food was nourishment, and it was something that we had to have, and we had to make these, you know, these protein requirements, these essential amino requirements, these vitamin and mineral requirements. And I've drifted away from all of those ideas and requirements in the last couple of years, from the knowledge I've gathered from reading the Mucusless Diet, from reading Man's Higher Consciousness, and from looking at the work of Dr. Sebi and looking at the work of Dr. Morse, and from my own personal experience and following some people like Elatom Elamine and having dialogue with men like that, I've come to realize that I don't believe this any longer. I believe that food is really a habit.
Wow, yeah. Well, I know a lot of those names you've been talking about and the books as well, so thank you for the references. For anyone who's not listening, who is listening, so you can take them on board. Jules, what's your take on what food is, my friend?
I think everything is energy and everything is frequency. So every food is a frequency which will give you energy. So you have to be aligned with these energies. So that's why I think that current foods can be good at a certain time, but can not be good at other times for you at the moment of time. So what is the ideal food for one can change with his evolution as a man, I think. So that's what I think.
Food is energy. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, was you talking about seasons in general? So sort of eating in specific times of the year corresponding with your body, or
that's a very good point, actually. Well, ideally, I think fruit is our best food, but unfortunately, not everyone is lucky enough to live in those areas where you can eat it all through the year, and that's unfortunate. But that would be ideal.
Well, that's
Yeah,
I
agree. I think the fruit is definitely the best food if we're going to be eating food. Fruit is the best food, and yeah, it is unfortunate that I live up in Canada, so I don't have the full supply of fruits all of the time. But I mean, I can always get bananas. I can always get pears. I can always get apples and oranges. Sometimes. Cantaloupe isn't as nice, but I can get to the cantaloupe. So I'm able to eat a fruit diet most of the time, all year round. I mean, not the mangoes, and I can't get the cherries, and I can't get the grapes all year round, but I can manage on the pears, the oranges, the apples, and the bananas in Southern Ontario.
Nice.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, we got everything in the UK basically through the year. You just cannot get that quality. It's not fresh. It's not ripened locally. It's just mangoes. For example, it's so hard to find good mangoes.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's so nice. You take it off the shelf, take it home, cut it, and it's like, oh no, why is it so black? It's just you just wasted £2 on nothing. It's disappointing.
Yeah, you touched on something there. You talked about the food being the energy, and I agree. I think as we evolve, yes, I really agree. Food can very much be energy, but I think in Hotima's book, I think I really like his talk about food, in that food is energy, but it's only the energy because we kind of are accustomed to it. We've perceived it. We've learned it. It's the habit that we've learned. And actually, if we introduce a new habit, we can get and have access to even more energy without it. It's just that the food is more like a river. And if you have a generator in the river, and as the river moves over the generator, it turns the wheel and thus provides and creates energy. The same way the food comes through the body, as the food moves through the body, it kind of turns the energy wheel within the body, but it doesn't actually give the body any energy at all. The energy comes from within the body, and the food just kind of turns that energetic wheel. And we can learn to turn that energetic wheel in an alternative way, but we've just developed this habit of doing it in this way. It's, when I was a bodybuilder, I used to take steroids, and, I took steroids on and off for 20 years. And every time I came off of steroids, it took about 6 or 8 weeks for my body's production of testosterone to catch up again. Because when I took testosterone, my body stopped producing testosterone. It's the same with the food. If you nourish your body with food 3 times a day, and then your body requires the food in order to get the nourishment. If you take the nourishment from the food away, then the body steps back up the production of nutrient and mineral that it's capable of doing. It's just that we're in the habit of feeding it 3 times a day that the body doesn't need to generate the nourishment or extract the energy from an alternative source. We can gather the energy in alternate ways, except we've just been so lazy because we've fallen into this habit and we've got this thought process that tells us we get our energy from our food. So this is what we do. It's a habit that we've developed, but it's a habit we can overcome.
Yeah. No, I a lot of that I've taken on board. So what you're trying to say is, which I've heard before, makes a lot of sense to me, is that we're kind of reliant on secondary, third, possibly even fourth style energy, and food is in that caliber. So the primary sources of energy naturally for every human being or every living thing on this earth you're talking about is obviously air, water, the sun.
Yes, and we could get the water out of the. We can get the water out of the air. We can get the nitrogen out of the air to manufacture the amino acids. So really, it's air is what we need, and if we can get our mind into the right space, then the body can begin to manufacture the required nutrients and energy that it needs. It can gather it all from the air.
You both touched on fruit being the main or your main source of or your preferred source of food. For reasons that I'm pretty sure I'm aware of as well, the most energetic or the closest to the sun, etc. But let's just step it back a little bit. John, you've obviously come back from a bodybuilding lifestyle, so you know about meat. Jules, have you not long eaten meat? How long has it been since you've stopped eating meat, if you ever did?
It's going to be 2 years. So
2 years,
so
okay.
22 months or something like that.
So I'm the baby of the group. I've been slightly less than that, but yeah, we're on that. I'm on that roller coaster myself, but what was it at that time period, minus the lack of information that we weren't accustomed to at the time? What would you say for people that are eating meat on all levels, plant-based diets as well, whether it all, let's say vegan, right? I'm not really a fan of that word, but let's just say vegan and vegetarians and whatnot. The style of food that they eat, what would you say to these individuals that they should be starting to learn or definitely should have in their arsenal of foods that should be eaten regardless of the labelling of veganism and all this stuff? Is there a universal guideline as such where we could all sort of be accustomed to and be following that route and then having the option? Because there's so many different ways people eat and approach and say this is good, that's good. I've heard many meat eaters say that, all sorts, but and that's now up to them. But yes, I'm trying to pinpoint that road that we should all kind of be on, regardless of what we're following. Like, can anyone sort of add to that?
Yeah, I think nutrition is like religion, in that if you start trying to tell people what they have to do, you start running into problems, right? As soon as you start telling people that they can't eat meat, or they shouldn't eat meat, or they shouldn't do this or they shouldn't do that, you get that backlash of people as soon as you start taking away people's choice, this is the thing, you know, choice is what makes us distinctly human. We all need to have choice. We all need to have freedom. And so for me to say what people should do or shouldn't do, I have a hard time with that. I really like to share information and allow people to choose to engage in this information or not. My current program has 7 levels of participation because I know that people are at so many different levels with regards to their food. So, you know, if you want to try to talk to a large group of people, you have to give them choice, right? I think what you know, you talked about it already at the top of the show. You talked about the fact that the current state of human health is that it's on a bit of a decline here. We've got people with anxiety, we got people with depression, we got people with low energy, low motivation, we got cancer, we got diabetes, we got arthritis. All sickness and illness and disease is on the rise. So obviously something is wrong. You know, I like to say that what is wrong is nutrition. This is the biggest thing that we're all doing in common. That's wrong. And the idea is that, you know, we've been marketed to, as human beings, to eat fast food, to eat junk food, to eat processed food, to eat meat, to eat vegetable, to eat fruit, to eat bread, to eat cookies, to eat everything, right? If you look at the TV, there's commercials for everything on the TV, right? And if you look at every other animal on the planet, every single other animal on the planet only eats 1 or 2 or 3, a couple of foods, and they're very close and similar, right? So we're the only animal that's eating like just everything, copious amounts of everything, and this is why we're the animal that's getting sick, because we're so far away from what is the truth. Now, that is all a bad habit that's been learned, and what we need to do is we need to come back to finding and deciphering what is actually human food. We've just been so pulled off track. Now, at what rate and at what pace you come back to the truth is got to be your own, and that's got to be your own choice, right? So how quickly you come back to the truth, that's all up to you. You know, I very quickly, as soon as I got insight and information and understanding, I very quickly came back to, you know, what is real and what's natural. But some people may need to take some time in order to work through the process and realize that live food is very important for the human being. Not eating food that has been processed and dead for any extended period of time. That's just not good for the body. You got to look at the vibration of the food. We've already mentioned that. The energy of the food is very important. It's got to have enzymes in it. It's got to have high energy and high vibration. And if it doesn't, it's not human food.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Jules, I'd like you to jump on that. But just quickly, Felicia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Thanks for joining in. We started about...
I'll be on Clubhouse soon. Just give me a second. I had to deal with my kids because right now it's lunchtime over here.
Sure. All right, no worries. We'll carry on, and when you're ready, just please pop in and join. But yeah, Jules, please add to that.
Yeah, I totally agree with John. Almost everything. I think the most important thing is to be conscious about what we put in our bodies, what we consider food, how we get it, how we treat it, what you think about it. So I would say just listen to your body, listen to your source self, listen to your instinct, observe. You know, I think a good diet could be the elimination diet if someone want to experiment with things, which is basically you start with one food, you eat it for 2 weeks. You looking for reactions, and then introduce another food and so on and so forth. And this is why I don't think that we have universally designed to eat fruit, for example. I think people can be healthy on a carnivore diet. People can be healthy on an omnivore diet. People can be healthy on a fruit diet, but people can be unhealthy on all on those diets. So maybe a carnivore could be more conscious than a vegan who eats processed food. Carnivore who, for example, go and hunts for his prey and eats it, for example. So I think, like John said, the more living foods, the better, the fresher, the greener, the more juicy. So I would definitely say we need, if you want to eat 3 times a day, at least 2 of them should be raw, and maximum 1. But I think a juice, a smoothie, and something, either fruit, ideally, or something cooked if you want to, is a very sustainable diet in these days.
So what you're coming across with that, with me, and the understanding is that obviously water carries memory, and it's quite a powerful tool. So obviously you are what you eat, as they say. Obviously when you're eating dead food, should we call it, food that has been killed and specially cooked, the water content is obviously, what do you want to call it, non-existent, I guess, or very limited. Obviously, if you're having live foods, then you're taking in that information, that knowledge, and therefore it's going to utilise in your body far better than, which makes, it's just logical sense. And I mean, definitely over, and I like the way you shared on the fact that whether you're vegan or vegetarian or whatever, you can actually have unhealthy diets across all the boards. And yeah, totally, I've seen that with people. I've seen healthy individuals that do eat meat. But my understanding of where I'm definitely, and hopefully we can sort of lead this chat afterwards, is trying to find a core root of where everyone kind of should be branching from. And then whatever they choose to eat at the same time is their choice on top of that. And I think that's what you kind of sort of shared, you know, in the sense of saying that too, you probably should be veering towards more raw. And if you choose to have cooked, it should be less of. And be mindful of what you are eating, as well as when you are eating cooked foods. So yeah, no, I'm with that. I mean, what I wanted to touch on that as well was something called terrain modification. So the idea, John, obviously you're a personal trainer, so the approach of getting people to change their diets and their lifestyles with food, however they are approaching that, whether it's limiting it or changing their diet completely. Terrain modification is the idea of gradually turning the scales and getting them to enrich their life with a better lifestyle, with the relationship with food as well. So is there any guidelines as to how individuals should do that? I'll just say that, you know, for me, I took a leap with a couple of things and I just completely cut off certain things. And then I found myself at a later stage having this nag of wanting to go back. Now with that as well, I know that there's, oh great. I just have a message. Now with that as well, I've realised that there's a little bit more behind that, which is to do with detoxing and fasting. But maybe we can talk about that a little bit after. But is there any sort of guidelines that you would say to people that are wanting to change their diets or their lifestyles? Because some people jump into it too quickly. That's what I'm trying to get at. I feel like there's a method. Can we sort of give some guidelines or some thoughtful approaches on that, John?
Yes, you know, what I do with people, especially at the start, is I don't want to clobber them over the head with, you need to change this, you need to change that. I mean, I've done that in my past. I've been a trainer for 20 years, a coach for a trainer for 28 years. So, you know, I've been doing personal training and coaching for almost 30 years now. And what I've learned is that having that approach where I try to tell the customer or tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do just doesn't seem to work really, really well. Well, what I like to do better is I like to do it more in a teaching style, in that I'll give the person an app They download the app, they put that on their smartphone, they start tracking all of their food in there. As long as they track all of the food in there, then I can hold them accountable. I can see what they're eating, right? So this is what we'll do. We'll weigh you to start off. We'll measure you, and then we'll allow you to eat what you feel is right. So whatever you want to gravitate to for, you know, you're trying to lose some weight, or you're trying to be more healthy, be more energetic, be more energized, overcome a sickness, illness, or disease, overcome some pain, or you know, overcome some anxiety or depression in your life. If you're trying to change your life and you're trying to do that with healthy, raw, natural food, you know, you start going in whichever direction you want to go. And then at the end of the week, we'll measure your waist, and we'll put you back on the scale, and we'll see what the result is, right? So you've chosen the foods that you like, and we'll see what the result is. If you track everything in that app, we'll be able to see what the foods you've chosen has created, and that will measure your midsection at your belly button. And if your intestine inflammation has come down, then your waist at your belly button should come down, and you know, your belly shouldn't be protruding as much if you've chosen the right foods. And if you've put the wrong foods in, you've created more digestive distress. You'll have inflammation in your gut, and your belly waist measurement will increase. So we can do a very simple check on the food choices that you're making, and then we can put you on the scale, and we can see what changes have happened with your food choices that you've made. This is the result that happens on the scale. Now, if it's not the result that you want at the end of the week, well, then now you've got to open yourself up to some changes. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I like that. I'll never.
Yeah, I agree.
Felicia, are you there? Sorry, obviously we ain't got a picture of you.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
Hey, you guys, I'm in my sunroom because it has lighting.
How you doing? You good?
I'm good. I'm sorry I'm late, you guys.
No worries.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm homeschooled, so my husband just took over because he works at home right now.
Okay, great. So you heard that. Can you add to that, Felicia, please?
What was the question? Could you repeat it?
Yeah, so it was, do you know what the question? So it was the approach of, John, I've just had a moment. Can you fill in?
Yeah. You were saying, you know, what's the way to transition a person? How do we move someone from where they're at to where they should be going? And I was saying that I just don't think it's
modification. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's observe what's going on. Let's do an observation of what's going on, and then see the result. And if it's not the result we want, then wouldn't you agree we need to make a change?
Okay.
You know, and then you know, well, let's try this change, and we implement one thing. Let's say an intermittent fast. Yeah. Let's start with a 14-hour fast or a 16-hour fast. Let's introduce
when
that.
When you're taking on clients, are you asking that when you're helping someone transition from a standard American diet to a more holistic, more healthier?
Well, yeah,
diet?
you know, most people are coming in, they want to make some change in their life. They want to lose weight, they want to tone up, they want to get more energized, they want to overcome pain, they want to overcome sickness, they want to move in a more positive direction. So whatever it is you're doing, let's get you to start tracking what you're doing.
Okay.
Then
Oh, go ahead. When I take on clients, like I kind of see where they are mentally, emotionally, because usually I find that people are eating emotionally, especially if they're stuck, because, you know, after a couple of weeks, if they're regressing back, because for me, I personally make them fill out like a self-assessment, see where they are. We go over that, and we dove into if they made changes on their own and what troubles they were already having. And then I start from there. And then far as like, a lot of people usually have emotional triggers. Sometimes it's people around them that's enabling them. Sometimes, you know, they're living with other people in their homes that eat differently, or that's starting to tease them because they're trying to improve their life. Sometimes it's the stress at their school or their job or even their spouse. So we go over that. We dove into those areas just just to address the triggers and know them, because once you kind of identify them, you can have better power over them, you know. But if you're not aware that, you know, certain things at your job may set you off, so you want to have a piece of chocolate or piece of cake, or if you're angry, you may want to go back and eat meat. Usually I also put them on a parasite cleanse first and foremost, like to help cleanse the parasites, to get a lot of those cravings out of their system, or help a system get those cravings out. So yeah, for me, I usually, and I like what I said with the intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting usually nips that in the butt, because if you can do that up early on, you can kind of stick with, you'll be happy just to eat. Like, so I find that, but most people are kind of scared to do the intermittent fasting with me. And I usually see intermittent fasting is not that bad, but like dry fasting or things of that, I tell people the options and we see where they are. Like if they're eating fruit and they're eating foods that are hydrating, then we can do more extreme fasts. But if they're not eating foods that are hydrating, to get their hydration level on a certain level before they get into those higher fastings. But if they're able to do that, then they're able to stick and transition. And throughout the process, I support them emotionally. Of course, I can't be there physically. Some clients I do offer, if they're local, I do offer meeting up, going grocery shopping, you know, especially if I know them, because a lot of people local, you know, hit me up and I'll help them the extra mile locally and meet with them in person. But outside of that, I think what John said, I agree with that. And, you know, just being there emotionally for them, right, having them to do journaling and do different things to help support them transition. Because I personally believe in order for you to live this lifestyle, you have to be aware of your energy. You have to be aware where you're spending your energy at, because most of the time you'll find that we're eating to try to make up for the energy drainage, you know? So, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, definitely. I will just write down so much here. What I got from you, which I 100% agree with, is for me especially. I know that maybe it's a bit ignorant of me for saying this, but I don't think it is. But I definitely feel like I know I eat more on an emotional basis than I do because I kind of need it.
And sometimes I allow people to sometimes, you know, I allow people, even myself, to have breaks or have like cheat dates, you know, so I set those times. And I say cheat, not to cheat entirely too far. I'm talking about like some vegan sweet, something where it's not too far off the record, still made with natural ingredients, but we know it's like, okay, it slows down. It takes a lot of energy just to digest that type of food, you know, just because that helps mentally, that helps, because we're not living in our natural element right now. You know, we're so far taken out how we're really supposed to live. So we're dealing with a lot of different stressors that may trigger us. So if some people can't find other outlets, or some people just can't get over seeing them eating fruit entirely for the rest of their life, you know, I'm like, well, set fruits and vegetables, set some cheat dates, you know. For some women, we find that our cheat dates is around our cycle. And that's another thing. So many things improve when you shift over into this lifestyle. You're able to have more self-discipline in so many other areas. You can convert that in so many other areas in your life once you start shifting here and your body's working more efficiently. You have more energy for your kids, more patience, meditating, just you find yourself just shifting just overall holistically. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people do initially come to me with just focused on how they look, you know. A lot of women want to just look better, you know. Me, I personally had 2 kids. So I like to motivate women that they don't have to look a certain way after you have 2 kids. And that's all by your lifestyle, you know? So this is not just about eating. It is a lifestyle shift. You'll find that there's other areas you may have to bring up to fully keep people on board. Some people may be motivated just by their body alone, or just by feeling good or having mental clarity, or looking good. So it all depends on what that person needs or wants.
Yeah, definitely. That sums up emotional eating pretty much to the T, literally. Yeah, so you're talking about sweets and cheap foods, call it that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had this idea, this has come through in the last sort of week or so for myself, because I found myself now and then I always go back to little things like maybe it be a little bit of bread or something like that. You know, I've got this thing with chocolate digestive biscuits. I make my own chocolate, but sometimes I can't be bothered, so I'd get chocolate digestive biscuits, the dark chocolate, without no milk, it's got soy in, unfortunately. But, just one of my little cheat things. But that being said, and the idea of hybridized foods. Now, Dr. Sebi talks about this quite a lot. We've spoken about these sort of foods. Well, my understanding is that could I change my belief system with my cheat foods, my chocolate digestives, and start using more of the hybridized foods and then wean myself off of them? Is that a good idea, or am I kind of just sort of swapping one for the other? Like, in my understanding, it's fruit. That's where I'm trying to go with what I'm trying to go with. And also, what Jules spoke about earlier, I'm going to chuck this question to you. The whole seasonal side of things. I kind of stopped eating certain fruits and vegetables that weren't in season. And I just
Same here.
I really want to be in the cycle. I'm trying to get in the cycle. But I found it quite difficult, especially if you're an individual who buys their food from supermarkets, for example, too much. I'm lucky. I've just moved, so I'm near a farm now. I'm nearer to a farm, so I'm quite fortunate where there's a farm shop and I can go down there and be a little bit more one-to-one. But yeah, with that, you know, the transition of hybridized foods and food that is just not very nutritional.
When you're saying hybridized food, you're talking about Dr. Sebi's guidelines, or you're just talking because a lot of our food has been a lot of our food has been kind of, what is it, crossbred and changed so it can be more commercialized. So I think, like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that particular part. So
I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, should we be trying?
If you can eat food that has seeds in it, that would be ideal. Foods that the less manipulated as possible, that's ideal. Like our family, like right now, it's winter time. We're in Maryland, and we eat raw throughout the day, and we eat a cooked whole food plant-based meal at night. So, you know, maybe some potatoes and some greens or a salad. Sometimes we'll try to eat raw at night as well. But we at least get a smoothie in and a green juice in every day. And anything in between that we can find, because a lot of, like you said, a lot of foods are not in season. We spend a boatload of money on expensive food that's coming across the world, and it sucks. And it sucks. Now they're even painting organic oranges to make them look like they're more vibrant, and I'm just very disgusted by what I see. That's a whole nother topic, but we try our best to eat this way. Overall, we buy a lot of frozen fruits. What we find is beneficial for us, so we, you know, take bananas and sometimes buy berries. It depends on where your budget is. You can make it work, because we're a family of 4. We're living off of one income, and I mean, we make it work for us. You know, it depends on how much you want to prioritize it. I believe health is actually your wealth, and it's like one of the top priorities, because once you have, if you can sustain or thrive in your health, you know, you can do so many other things. Everything else kind of follows suit. So far as the hybrid food, we don't get too far off. And like my husband likes these plantain chips, you know, so he eats that. And my children likes these vegan, what do they have? They have like these vegan granola bars. We don't really eat, we don't go that far off. Those are still our cheap snacks. But yeah, I don't really recommend people getting too caught up in eating any processed foods. And if you're going to eat cooked foods to stretch your dollar, or just to ground you, or just to have some cooked food, we try to steam our food. We try not to cook the life force out of our foods. So we cook it, it's steamed, and you know, seasoned lightly, and that's kind of how we get around with winter time or cold weather. So a lot of frozen foods and some fresh berries is usually what's in season here, and a lot of bananas.
Jules, you're a man who's done quite a lot of detoxing, a lot of fasting. Something that's been quite fresh and quite new to me. Even though, logically, after a while, when I've done the transitional change from eating meat and certain other foods, that I realised that actually fasting was something quite natural to us anyway. I mean, we do it when we sleep. Like, imagine going to sleep and eating. So that's quite fun. You know what I mean? We actually sleep, so we're fasting. So it's natural to us to obviously give the body a rest and allow it to recoup, break down what it needs to break down, and excrete accordingly. But to me, cleansing and detoxing is definitely, it seems to me to be quite a first sort of protocol. What I kind of felt for me while testing water myself was that actually I needed to learn to fast and detox. You know, it's like intermittent fasting and learning detox protocols to wean myself off of certain foods, because we were talking on an emotional basis, on an energetical, emotional basis, how food has got us attached. And obviously when we go deeper scientifically, looking into the body, and we're going to talk about parasites and stuff like that now, how that relationship works with the body and with ourselves. So it's a triangle going on there. So what are your thoughts on cleansing and detoxing? Is it important? Is it something you can just do at any sort of time, or is it, what do you recommend? What's your thought?
I think it's very important. It's one of the cheapest as well. Cheapest detoxes ever. One of the most. I just like how it makes my mind sharp. You know, I'm full with energy and everything. I do this intermittent fasting for about 6 years now. So I eat in an 8-hour window, and recently started with dry fasting as well, which was a huge shift, because, you know, I was always indoctrinated that, you know, you have to have a glass of water when you wake up, then another glass at 9 o'clock, and, you know, you have to drink like 2 liters of water a day, which I found out recently that it's bullshit. I barely drink any water a day. So I try to take in all the hydration with fruits and maybe coconut water or juices. And I think intermittent fasting, especially intermittent daily dry fasting, should be the number one step towards everyone's health. That's something is easy. It's something you will get a reward for. It's something that will just change, can make you start change your thinking about food and about your energies, and what does your body do when you eat, and what does your body do when you are not eating.
Yeah, definitely. You're talking about the relationship with the food there. is there any sort of benefits that you can sort of ring off the top of your head about intermittent fasting that an individual probably see through the first week or so, or just continue gradual?
Well, you are burning more fat. What I like about it, what I really like about it, that I like food. I'm not gonna lie. I like to eat, and I like to eat a lot. And at the same time, I enjoy fasting as well. So I'm like a 100% in guy. So if I stop eating, then I'm stopped eating. If I start eating, then I'm eating like an animal. So that's about it. Really. So.
John, I think you was writing a couple of things down there. Do you want to jump in and add to that?
Yeah, you know, the science about intermittent fasting is growing every day. I believe that it was 2016 that the Nobel Peace Prize was actually delivered to a fasting scientist. So, I mean, intermittent fasting is it's hip, it's trending, it's what's happening, it's current, and it's bringing us back to what we truly are, and what we all need to realize is that we don't really need all of these things that we think we need, and it changes our relationship with food. And the best way to overcome our emotional eating, our eating of any kind, our habits, we all like to eat. It's been behavior that we've learned from day one. We've been fed. So we're breaking a behavior, we're breaking a habit. And the way to break the habit, as much as, the world would like us to believe that we're going to lose weight by eating 6 times a day, or we're going to lose weight by eating 3 meals and 2 snacks, like eat more to lose weight. It's a great idea. I mean, it sounds great, and it sells lots of food and vitamins and supplements and stuff. And so it's great for the economy. It makes us buy more stuff. Like it sells product, and that's great for everyone that wants to sell stuff. But the truth is, the way to lose weight, get in shape, feel better, overcome all sickness, illness, and disease is not to eat. It's fasting that brings us back to our health. And it's fasting is the way to learn how to manage our food. We don't learn how to manage food by eating. We learn how to manage food by not eating, by putting boundaries on ourselves, and by following through with those boundaries, we take back control. We've got to remember that we are the creators of our environment and our universe. And if we've empowered food, or any specific food, over top of ourselves, we're the ones that have given our power away. We're the ones that need to take that back again. And we can do that with an intermittent fast by putting a boundary and saying, hey, we're not going to eat in this 14-hour window, or this 16-hour window, or this 18-hour window, and gradually increase that window and learn how we can learn how to manage on longer periods of time, and then train the body to start recreating all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that it can, and it's capable of doing, but we've just forgotten how to do it because we keep on feeding ourselves 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Yeah. And Felicia, obviously, you'll have to send out, all of you will have to pass on your YouTube and Twitter information and stuff like that. But just reading a little bit about you, because obviously you popped in later. You're a detox specialist, holistic coach, truth activator, and spiritual humanitarian. And I mean, I saw some pictures that you posted on your, I think it's through Instagram, of your kids, and they had green juices going on and stuff like that. So obviously you shared your mother at 2, John. I know you got kids. Have you got kids, Jules?
No.
Okay, same with me. And I mean, what's the situation? How do you approach your family, and how's the transitional change, if it has been a transitional change, with food with your kids, or have they been very fortunate to sort of have a spiritual mother like yourself? Felicia, yeah.
Is this for me?
This is
or
for,
John?
yeah. This is for you. And then whoever on top of it.
Okay, so with my kids, before we were vegan, we always had fresh fruits and vegetables. And I went vegan. I went back to vegan because I was vegan years ago, but I went more so for just mental reasons, like just because it was easier to manage my weight. I wasn't connected to all the other reasons. And I rather say plant-based versus vegan, just because vegan comes with a whole nother thing. So I'm being respectful for that group. But we went plant-based because and this may sound a little strange, but when I was pregnant with my daughter, she was talking, me and her connected on a spiritual level, and she was talking to me before she came through. And she told me that pretty much, and for her to survive, you know, I know you think you're eating healthy now, but you're going to have to up the ante on changing your eating, and you know what that means. And I'm like, at that time, I was just eating salmon and chicken. And at that time, I actually had a piece of salmon in my mouth, or about to put in my mouth. And she's like, no more of this. And I'm just like, seriously, I'm pregnant. She's like, but you can do it. She's like, you can do it. It's not that hard. And so she told me this twice. The last time was when I had a piece of salmon in my mouth. And my husband was looking at me because I literally stopped and was talking to her. And he's just looking at me like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm talking to Malaya. And he's like, okay, what did she say? And I'm like, she's telling us that we have to shift our diet. She's saying that she's not going to be able to survive eating even on that level, you know? And so I shifted and I went vegan while I was pregnant. Me and my husband went overnight. We're already into this lifestyle. So mentally, I was already there. I already knew that I was supposed to be there years ago. I was there before, you know, I just got caught up. And so I shifted while I was pregnant. And so she doesn't know nothing else as far as my daughter. My son, on the other hand, he is a hybrid eater, but he knows here, and he even tells other people what he should be eating. He was denying, you know, any flesh meat. Kids, if you naturally, I don't know, if their vibrations are high, they won't resonate with the crap, you know? They may fall for the sugar, but my children don't resonate with it. We don't eat, they don't even know, my kids don't know what candy is. You know, like I said, as far as we go, is the treats in our house. So a lot of people surprised when they eat green juices and eat raw food, but that's what we do. You know, mainly we bring our food when we go out, but sometimes we'll find a nice, cute plant-based restaurant that we can eat at. And that's how we get around. The green juices are daily, so they don't know nothing else. We put some apples in it to sweeten it for them. But yeah, they know their herbs, they know their food, and this is what we do.
And I love that. I think that's amazing. To train our kids.
I think it's easy when.
Important.
Sorry to cut you off. I think it's easy when you're a living example, right?
Yeah.
And then you help your kids, because my kids are 2 and 5, and then you help your kids. You have your kids help you prep the food.
Yeah.
Now they're having their hands involved. They're having a connection with the food. You know, we read books on it. We used to go to an urban garden, and we used to get our hands in the dirt and grow food. So try to get them as involved as possible. They help me go grocery shopping. We'll go in the stores, and my son will be like, "That's not good. That we don't eat that. We eat this. We don't eat that." And people are just looking like, "What? You're teaching him very well." And it's just getting them as involved in the process, from going grocery shopping, or to if you have a garden or access to get your hands and plant something, to even in the kitchen prepping the food. Now you may have patience because they're young, if you have kids young as mine, but that helps them get engaged. So they're more involved in the process, and they're proud to eat what they made or what they've been involved in. So that is always good, because my son, like I said, he's exposed to other food and other stuff that my daughter's not involved in her taste palette, and he's able to come back here and jump right back in and, you know, eat the way that our household eats. And he always tells me that he feels better, and he's about to be 5. He'll be 5 in 2 months. He's like, I always feel better when I eat this way. I said, yeah, so now you understand. Just know that when you do, you know, because we can't always watch them. It's when you know, they're around other people. So you want to raise them where they can make choices and they know what choices they're making and the consequences of them, and just being the judge of that. But yeah, so that's my story with my kids and eating this way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's such an important, you caught them at such an important time.
Yeah.
The age of like 0 and 6 is really where they're kind of like a sponge and stuff. So to get that information is amazing. So commend you on that. But John, yeah, you have kids. How's the transitional change from what Daddy used to be like to now, and how do your kids see? Like, do they get involved? Are they interested in food, nutrition, the way you are?
Yeah, I've got a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I've also got a 7-year-old. And actually, it was actually my 15-year-old was the first person in the family to want to go vegan. So she was the first one in the family to really push for vegan. And part of that was because I showed her one of those factory farm videos when she was young. Like, I watched it and I was very disturbed by it. This is about 5, 6, could be 7 years ago. We watched it together, and you know, it was the bludgeoning of animals, but at that time I just couldn't see beyond the protein requirements and all of that science background that I had, and being a bodybuilder and telling so many people as a personal trainer for so many years that they had to meet their protein requirement. I couldn't see beyond it, and I couldn't understand how that could be really, how that could play out in real life. So although I was very heartfelt emotionally about that knowledge, I couldn't see how I could become a vegan. But she emotionally, as a young girl, was very affected by that. And then as soon as she hit, I'm going to say it was 11, she started saying, Dad, I don't want to eat animals anymore. You know, and I was actually at that point insisting that she would have to have eggs and dairy. Like, she had to have cheese and she had to have eggs. So here I was at that point, you know, enforcing her to eat animal protein. And, you know, regretfully, as I continued further until I finally bumped into that book by the Mucusless Diet by Eric, that my switch was turned and I flipped, like, you know, almost instantaneously. So I've done that. You know, I used to be the push people to eat protein for 25 years. I did that. And so now I do not push people to anything. I certainly don't push my kids to it. I try not to push my kids to say that they have to do anything. I encourage people to start with a fruit meal the first thing in the day. I try to say the first thing that you should eat is fruit, guys. If you want to have some junk, you're going to have some fruit first. You know, I tell them the truth about everything. I'm very open and honest about everything. And I say to them, you know what, listen, I didn't make the right choices until I was 45. I'm turning 47 this year. So I'm not going to try to tell you that you need to do this or you need to do that, but I want you to understand the truth, because I don't want you to go through your life, you know, thinking the false information like your dad did. I want you to know the truth, and this is what the truth is. And when you're ready, I want to support you with your transition to moving towards the healthiest, best version of yourself. So I don't force them into anything. They're 14 and 15 now, so they're old enough that they want to choose, and they actually have some money. They can even go and buy something, and they're over at their friend's house, and they're over for nights over, and they're gone away for periods of time. So I can't force onto my children any longer. my wife is also vegan, and she's a personal trainer and my partner in my business. So, she's pursuing fruit and fasting as well too. Not as deeply as me, but she's passionate about it also. And I try my best to not be judgmental and because I've embraced it so much.
Right.
And that's, really because I just had so much pain in my body from being a bodybuilder and being in the protein world for so many years, that I had so much pain in my body that as soon as I touched upon this information, I immediately started feeling the differences. It was like an overnight switch. So for me, it was a little easier for me to like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better that it's easy for me to go in that direction. But, other people that haven't been as obsessive in their life about bodybuilding or protein or vitamins and minerals and all of the kind of scientific gobbledygook that we get caught up in, they may not notice it as quickly. So I try not to be pushy. I try to be supportive and provide information and knowledge and post and share videos and let it come to them in another way rather than me trying to force it on them.
Right. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't want. I still have people who they may live alternative lives, but they still may eat meat, and they voice to me that they don't like to be judged about it, and that's where they are. I'm not one to shove down that truth down their throat if they're not ready. And then two, if people come to me and they want to hear the truth, then I'll speak the truth. Or if you come on my page, I'm showing what we're doing. I'm not going to show you all the gruesome things that happen in, that's not, and I know that's other people's methods, but again, that's what I don't do. I try to inspire you. I try to show you how I'm living, how I'm looking, how my children are living, and you are capable of living this lifestyle. Me and my daughter went on a fruit fast for 6 months. My daughter was two. So, me and her, as long as she had me, and we eat our fruit together, eat our meals together, because I was detoxing her because she had chronic eczema and itchiness. And so I had to take our, diet, me and her diet, in particularly, to another level for us to get some results. And so we had to shift just a little bit more, and we both did it. We were both able to do that. And of course, that's easier to do when you have the sun out and things of that. But yeah, I agree with John. Don't be compassionate. We need to be compassionate with people who are not on this level of thinking and who have different belief systems or old belief systems, and they haven't shedded that yet. I think they internally feel it. Most of the time when my husband goes out, he's going out into, the real world or the regular life where people have just regular standard American diet, eating habits on their brain. And so when they see him, he says they naturally feel guilty. They're like, oh, wow, you're, I'm assuming you're vegan. Oh, wow, look at all that fruit, or look at all that vegetable. And he's just like, yeah. And he'll see them start just chatting away, and they know what to do. When you're just in your beingness, people naturally want to, they want to be drawn to that.
The energy, yeah.
They naturally, it's almost like a light and moths. Not to compare people to moths, but just energetically, you're like the light, and a lot of people are attracted to that light, and they just come around it. So naturally, if you hang around people who are living a different lifestyle, what I find, even when I went natural with my hair, years and years ago, people naturally, first they feel like they have to justify why they are where they are. That's what you'll find. Well, I still eat meat and that, and you're not even coming at them that way, but they feel that they need to justify what they're doing. And I'm just observing and watching, oh, that's fine. I'm not here because I'm eating my stuff or I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not here to push this on you. But you'll find that they'll start asking you questions. How does it feel? How were you able? They're curious. And so you just let them know your testimony, your story. And even if, you're in the service of helping like we are, you just tell them what you can offer, and then they'll eventually come to you. And when they come to you, they're ready, but it'll be on your vibration and not where you're pushing the violence, the killing, and the gruesomeness of the reality of what's really going on. And that may work for other people, but some people kind of already know that. We're in the age of information, and they don't want to see any more trauma. They see that on the news and in the media. So they're more touched by you just being compassionate, passionate about what you do, and just inspiring them, or just still being around them and treating them just like any other human being. Like, you know, so we're talking about our kids in a sense, but like people still sometimes are like kids. Like they don't want to be, like you said, drilling that down their throat and preaching to them like you're a missionary.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally agree with you on that. And Jules, you can touch on this, but I mean, I definitely see that, especially with social media, a lot of individuals from all areas, vegans, whatnot. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've probably come across a lot more harsh individuals that like to label themselves as vegan or vegan, whatever that.
Yeah,
you know, are really quite tough, and they really come out with some nasty words, you know, to people that are eating meat and stuff like that, and they try and put them in some sort of box, labelizing them. And you just think, you know, that's not really helping them to sort of grow, or, you know, like I feel like we've all got a responsibility to be showing ourselves collectively that, you know, regardless of what route you're on, there's a path that is quite clear and quite truthful to all of us, you know, and whatever
you need to try not to weaponize the truth.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Jules, I mean, just touching on that a little bit with
yeah, I absolutely agree. So you should lead by example. At least that's what I do. So you should show them how it's done, and if they like it, they're gonna join you, rather than judge them what they are doing, because that's not the right attitude. I think it just shows negativity. So rather show your positivity than reflect negativity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've all agreed upon that, and energetically, I can feel the energy now, but energetically, it has such a powerful imprint on how we approach things, whether it's food or just talking to other individuals. And I mean, so shape-shifting that, which can be very dangerous, and I've seen that with social media. It's quite a big thing. I don't want to delve into that too much, but I mean, yeah, definitely being mindful of how we approach the topic of food, which is quite, it can be quite toxic, but in this instance, cleansing. John, are you okay for time?
I've got a little bit of time more, and then I'm going to have to run off. So,
all right, no worries. I won't keep you too long. I just wanted to a couple more things. I wanted to touch on. I think it's easier to just call them supplements, but it's not so much supplements as in tablets and stuff. I'm talking more sort of roots, herbs. I'm going down the routes of tonics, tinctures, and stuff like that. This is something that I'm sort of looking into a lot more, Eastern medicine. And I'm loving it. You know, I'm really, really loving it. I'm into all sorts. I just have to show you the cupboard and you'll know what I'm getting down into. And I'm finding them quite insightful. I'm finding them very beneficial to how I'm balancing what I eat, and what and the energy that's being provided with the stuff that I'm choosing to eat, whether it be Gyula Jung or ginseng, or there's all sorts I'm touching base on. And I wanted to know people's thoughts, because obviously the idea of eating raw, and then if we are using roots and herbs, some people like to use hot water with boiling and stuff like that. What are people's thoughts on this? Does anyone apply this sort of stuff to their lifestyle as well? For me, I love it personally, and I feel like there's so much goodness in there that can be approached personally. Felicia, I think your brain's sort of churning there. Can you add to that?
As far as like herbs and supplements?
Yeah,
I definitely incorporate that when needed. Like right now, we're taking food plant-based supplements like moringa, whole foods, vitamin C. What else are we taking? spirulina, chlorella, different things to help assist us and aid our bodies to detox the metals that we're taking in. Even if we call ourselves eating or more conscious eaters, we're still taking these toxins and getting these toxins in our body. And I think this type of lifestyle, even detoxing, is just it's incorporated into this lifestyle. Detoxing, fasting. So when we can afford it and when we can, I would definitely recommend taking food supplements because, like I said, our earth and certain things are just not the same anymore. So I've seen a benefit in my life. I'm not saying that you have to have it. You can incorporate a lifestyle where you don't have to take supplements because your body, I believe one of the guys on here mentioned that your body can absorb and utilize properly, the right the nutrients that you're getting through the plant foods and through fasting and being able to produce that. I agree with that as well, but because my kids are too young to really live that lifestyle, and because I'm parenting them, I have to shift my lifestyle and keep it in the parameters with my kids. So making it work for them. So we do take food supplements and we do take herbs. And I don't know, like no one here gets sick. So what we're doing is working. And then when and if I will say this, when my child did catch a cold one time, it lasted 24 hours. So it wasn't, and that was a cold. Usually colds last, I think, days or maybe even weeks for some people. So just to know that the body can catch a virus and then just release it and be able to pass quickly just shows the resiliency of the immune system. And then all of us can be around someone who's sick and not get sick. So I am a strong believer in taking food supplements, whole foods supplements, whole foods.
Jules, John, anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, I myself, I'm taking spirulina and wheatgrass juice powder. Recently bought some D3 because of the weather, of course, here in England, and pine pollen, and all these. If you wanna, experiment with it, and during a transition, I think it's very important to supplement. If you are, trying to quit meat, you have to supplement, your iron intake from different sources. So that I was iron deficient a couple of months ago. So that's how I found it out. So I had to incorporate more beans in my diet, etc., etc. So I think it's very important for transition. Ultimately, I believe it's absolute unnecessary. Should be in ideal circumstances, but it's very handy. I also take like maca powder and raw cacao powder. So these are like more like whole food supplements, as Felicia said, right? So there's a difference between whole foods which are grounded down and we just add to smoothies, and something synthetic which is made in a lab.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Just know that the body can't recognize when you're taking synthetic. It doesn't know how to properly utilize it. And then also it's like in the amounts, extreme amounts, and sometimes our body gets used to certain herbs. So I think it's always good to switch them up too, to diversify the ones you have, just so your body can also still know that it needs to work itself, because we're helping aid our body to get the supplements that it normally would get, through our foods and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, definitely. It's enabling the body. I recognised this myself, like when I was making my herbal teas, chucking in reishi mushroom or whatever it may be. But I didn't want to do this all the time. In my head, I said this. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And it just resonated with me. I knew that I shouldn't be dependent on it. I should apply it as an extra, as a bonus, as a snack.
Yeah.
John, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through all of the herbal supplements for sure. I found that they were all beneficial. I did all of the herbs, like the Dr. Morris, the tinctures, the teas, the Heal All Tea. I did all of that stuff, and I found benefits of all of it. I boiled the ginger, I boiled the turmeric, I did the lemon water. All of those things all benefited me in greatly, and I found I grew from all of them. I don't really do any of them any longer, and I'll tell you why. Actually, at the end of this, and I've moved beyond that. I feel what I'm doing now is beyond that, and I just feel like I've taken myself to the point that I'm ready to move beyond that. But I encourage everyone definitely to move in that direction. Very first steps, vegan life, taking away the meat, moving to the raw food, and then fruitarian and extending the fast, distilled water, dry fasting, and using herbal supplements. Great transition in that first year, 2 years. I think that's the way that we all need to go. But in closing, because I do have to run shortly, I just want to kind of pull a few things together that I heard today, and I just jotted down a couple of things. One thing I want to say, the conscious eating, I love that message that's been said by a couple of people. I think unconscious eating is a real big problem. I think that gluttony, gluttony is a real big problem. We just want more stuff, right? We're always trying to fulfill the happiness and joy from outside of the self, and we're trying to get it in our food, or the unconscious eating. Where often, even myself, I'm guilty. I noticed it today. I'm eating, but I'm working in my mind rather than actually eating.
Yeah.
Get conscious and breathe and enjoy the meal rather than putting pounds and pounds of it in your mouth while you're still working in your head. Get conscious while you're eating. Another one that was said that I want to touch on here is we are what we eat. I'm encouraging people to move beyond that now. Let's go, we are what we think, right? And if you really look at it, if you really look at the work of Hotima, and he talks about it a lot, is that the cell, the organism, it grows. It doesn't grow actually by building up cellular structure, like by taking amino acid and taking essential fat and constructing a cell. That's not how a cell builds itself. A cell builds itself, and an organism grows by cellular mitosis, and that the cell divides. This is how a being grows. It doesn't grow by taking a material and constructing a cell. That's an illusion that's been created to us. It's an idea that's been sold to us. So, once you really get the right idea, you can move beyond these things. Is that the body manufactures and grows and divides and develops from within. It really doesn't have anything to do from some material that's coming in. It's only that we've learned that, and we've gotten into that habit, and we've accepted that thought, and we need to get a new thought in order to transition beyond that. So we need to get new information, new knowledge, in order to understand that this is not about calories in and calories out, which is what we've been told, and it is not that. It's about getting the acidity out of the body. It's about getting the toxicity out of the body, so that we can reach to the true energy and the true source that is within each and every one of us, and that is that spirit energy, which is what we're all made of, right? Touching on the illness and the immune system deficiency, the iron deficiencies, any deficiencies at all within the body are really, hey, my adrenals are toxic, and that's why they're not able to manufacture the iron that my body needs, and that's why the hemoglobin in my blood is down. It's not that I need to take iron really so much as I need to detoxify my adrenals, which means more fasting, more emptiness, and actually less stuff coming into the body, so that the body can heal itself, because the body heals itself when it's natural and empty, and it's got rest. Detoxification happens when we rest. We come to rest in mindfulness and stillness, and we should do that daily. You know, coming to mindfulness and stillness, we are what we think, not what we eat. Cheat days, I think everyone needs to have a 2019. We're never going to eat another bag of chips for the rest of our life. I think that's too much for a client to tell them that they're never going to eat a bag of chips again. So I tell them, listen, I'm going to give you one day of the week. You can eat freely that day, but listen, there's 7 days in a week. I need you to be perfect most of the time. So that means you've got to be perfect 4 days. Right. And I'll give you 2 days if you want to have a little extra potato or a little extra rice or like an extra piece of bread or toast or some oatmeal, a bit more cooked food, that's okay. I'll give you 1 day where you're allowed to have a bag of chips, or if you want to have some cookies, or if you want to have some ice cream, cheat day. I allow that for my customers, especially during transition, and that'll drop off. You'll want to have that less and less and less as you move towards a more live, raw food diet. And just to finish off at the end, I'll say, a lot of people aren't ready to hear this probably, but the reason why I feel that I don't need to use supplements any longer is because I've moved into UT therapy and turpentine therapy, and I believe that these are two actually natural things that are actually providing our body with all of the nourishment, all of the vitamins, all of the hormones, all of the minerals, everything that we need, antibiotics, antiseptic, absolutely everything is provided for us and given to us from creation, from our creator, and we are self-sustaining beings, so we really don't need to get anything from outside of the self.
Well said, John. Thank you very much for UT there. Oh yeah, so I'm just going to sum it all up, just by saying that the number one offender clearly is the emotional status of the spiritual being, and to cleanse our emotional status is quite key when it comes to our relationship with food. I think we can all agree on that. Cleansing and detoxing seems to be a first protocol that we all need to engage in, and to teach everybody to start utilising, definitely on a more regular basis.
Love you guys. I'm gonna have to run. I'm gonna have to run.
No worries.
I appreciate the time with you guys, and I'm glad you've invited me. So thanks for the time.
Catch you again. We'll catch you again soon, John.
See you later,
Awesome.
John.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, what John said, change the way we think. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really, what he said. Go on, Flip. Listen.
I think that once you evolve, and you're able to stabilize your energy, which is your emotions, because that's energy and motion. When you're able to learn to have more mastery of that and be in a state of awareness, that 0 point energy, you're able to be self-sustaining. You're able to evolve and shed things that's needed, like you having the assumption that we need things outside of ourselves. I think that's where we're headed. Some people are already there. You have breatharians, you have people who are drinking their own fluids and being able to sustain themselves and being able to get energy. And we're all in a sense like people-tarian. We consume energy whether we like it or not. Yeah. It's not just through our food, it's the music, it's the people we're around, it's our environment, it's the air we breathe, it's the job we work, it's what you're doing, it's what you're thinking. All of this is consuming energy. And so when we start to learn, how to master these different, or be in a state of awareness rather, of these different energies and not getting pulled in, but being present, the less you'll need, I've been in states where I barely had to eat, I barely got hungry. And I found that when I was in those states, I paid attention to where I was energetically, where I was in that time of life. I didn't have too many things demanding. I'm a mom right now, so there's only so far I have so many demands pulling me, a mom and a wife. So when we have that liberty where we can just be, you'll just realize the less you need. And if you're around beautiful beings, I don't know if you've ever been at the beach or been places, you find yourself not really that hungry. You know, it depends on, I guess, who you're with, and if you're actually enjoying yourself and if you're mentally there and present. But you'll find when you're in a good state, the less you need, you know. So I definitely agree with John and what he says. I think, like I said, that's where the human species, this is where our consciousness is headed, and especially those who are, you know, are where we are. But, you know, we have to have a bridge between getting to that point to here, you know, and at the end of the day, we came in this physical form so we can actually, and this is my truth, but I feel like we came in this physical form so we can not only experience the consciousness of being human, but taking the spiritual essence of who we really are and expressing it here in human form. So it's always fun to have people on the planet who are, you know, light years ahead of us, and evolution or being breatharians, or just on a level to strive for, just to test our boundaries as human beings. That's always liberating to know we don't need food, we don't need supplements, we, you know, all this stuff. So it's like, to a certain level of consciousness, supplements is the truth, is needed, you know, and then you can graduate past those different levels, and there's different levels of truth based off of where you are in vibration and consciousness. And so, yeah, that's what I just wanted to add.
Yeah, definitely.
John exiting his message and what he said. And yeah, like you said, emotional. Once we control the energy emotion, and know that it's coming in different forms, like we have the subconscious mind that's also, you know, that needs to be reprogrammed, and the conscious mind, and then we have external situations that's going on that's affecting us all at once. So yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, there's so much information there. So just trying to paint that bridge that we're going on about to connect all beings is, cleansing, detoxing, emotional awareness, herbs, tonics, supplements. I think it's something that we can definitely sort of should be. I believe that we should all be trying and definitely giving it a go, because
absolutely,
working from an energetical point of view, some things definitely do, like Sheila Jit, for example. Once you have that on a regular, it really does help boost your energies. And I mean, it's got fulvic acids, etc. in it. And then, rightly so, like you said, once you hit a certain peak, you will no longer need to take those. You know, so it's all about progressing and making sure that you're constantly building on top of yourself and just rolling with it. And I think we can all agree with the live food idea as well. You know, I think we didn't go down that route. We're sort of trying to labelise this. Hopefully people won't sort of approach it that we were trying to sort of say live food is the way, but we can all mutually agree that live food is very important, whether you're eating meat, fruit, or whatever it is. The more live the food is, the better the experience.
Absolutely.
And I heard distilled water as well. I wanted to touch a little bit on that, but maybe we can leave that for another day. But obviously there's different methods of water. I'm doing distilled water myself. And I've never looked back with distilled water, but yeah, it is what it is. Guys, I think it's been quite an insightful chat, and I'm really, really grateful that you guys came. I think it's time to wrap it.
Thank you for inviting us. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys want to sort of leave by passing on some of your information on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that to follow you guys? Maybe people want to follow you, or with your work or stuff like that, or just want to leave it, that's fine. Or I can put it in a post later when I post the video.
Yeah, I just have Facebook at the moment, so.
Yeah. And you're fine with that, Felicia, yeah? Because you do your programs and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Did we type it in, or should we give it to you? Are you?
Yeah. Well, I'll post a video, sorry. Yeah, I'll post a video, so I'll get the information off you and I'll post that underneath as well. That'll be it.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. But you can find me on Felicia Naturally Unique, the Holistic Gypsy, on Instagram. I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook. I'm planning to open up my YouTube channel soon. I'm going to try to just manage my time to make that happen. But I'm also Felicia Naturally Unique on Facebook. And right now I'm taking clients on for free. I do ask if you feel in your heart to donate so I can sustain and support my family. That's all I'm asking right now. And that's it. Right now I'm kind of booked for January, just FYI, but you can always hit me up for the next coming months. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Guys, it's been an honor. Thank you so much. And we'll catch up again, I'm sure, anyway. So yeah, all the best. Have a great day. I'll speak to you guys.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.